Welcome to a training video on account assignment in PayPak Professional 4.0. Account assignment is the allocation of accounts to various sections of the software so that after a batch is posted, it will generate the accounting entries to be sent to your general ledger. It is important to understand how account assignment works in PayPak Professional in order to ensure that accounting entries with the correct debit and credit amounts are generated by the software. So let's log in and show you how it's done. There are a number of sections in PayPak which are linked to the accounts. Now when you set up your records, one of the first thing you're going to do is add your accounts here. And this is the account screen. And if we browse, we'll have a look at some of them. You have various accounts assigned here. Now, at the end of the payroll process, when you post your batch, the software will generate accounting entries which are the debits and credits for that particular batch. And these would normally be sent to your GL package, your general ledger package, Sage, AppPack, Adagio, QuickBooks, Peachtree, and several others. Sometimes these entries are keyed in manually. They can also be exported using the Export Accounting Entries screen, which will create a data file to be imported into the particular GL package which you are using. But how does the software know how to assign the amounts to those particular accounts? That's the purpose of this video. So there are a number of sections in the software which use the accounts. And we're going to go through these sections so that you understand how they impact on the accounting summary and would allow you to control how your accounts are set up and also to make corrections where necessary if something is not assigned to the correct place. Now, I have a list here in front of me, and there are a number of sections listed out here, and we're going to go through each section in this video to explain how the accounting entries, those debits and credits, are generated. First of all, we will go to the payroll sets. In the payroll sets, which is under records, the payroll set is a list of employees who are paid at a particular point in time. It could be a weekly payroll, a monthly payroll, or whatever the case may be. Every payroll set has a clearing account. In this case, it says bank. And what the clearing account represents is where the money will come from to pay your employees. In some databases, it may be set up. Some companies set it up as the bank account. Some companies set it up as a cash clearing account. Some set it up as a payroll clearing account. It can go by various different names, but essentially it's where the money is coming from to pay the employees. Typically, as I said, it's the bank account. And that account will be generally credited. There'll be one credit entry for that for the net pay for the employees. So that's the first thing. That's the first section of the ones on the list here. That's where the money comes from. Now, the next section is the gross pay. This is what you're paying your employees. This is before taxes and deductions. So if you're paying someone $400 a week, you're paying someone $3,000 a month, that is reflected in their gross pay. Now let's have a look at the employee screen. And let's call up someone here. Here's Carl Beavy. And let's look at her gross pay. And she's being paid $9.35 an hour for regular pay. Overtime is $14.03. And there is a column over here for job type, which says which job type she belongs to. And if we open the job types screen, you will see that, let's go to her wages delivery. Wages delivery. There you go. Good. So wages delivery is her job type, and each job type is assigned to an account. Here, see? So therefore, if a person is being paid, let's say they're being paid $400 and there's no tax, no deductions, just a basic example. They're being paid $400 a week. The job type here, which is wages delivery, this would generate an entry for the $400 which debits that account. So basically what you're saying is you're taking $400 from the bank, which is the clearing account, which we mentioned before in the previous section, the payroll, from the payroll set, and you are assigning that money to the wages delivery account, in this case for Carl Beavy, because she is a delivery person. So her wages go to the wages delivery account. Someone else may be wages cooks. So in a case where you have one person working for $400 a week as a delivery person, and another person working maybe for $600 a week as the cook, assuming that there was no taxes and no deductions, that's a total of $1,000 for that week. And the entry there would be a credit to the payroll clearing account or the bank account of $1,000, and a debit of $400 to the wages delivery, and a debit of $600 to the wages cooks. So that's the second part of the equation here, after the payroll clearing account, the bank account for the payroll set. Now, gross pay can sometimes have what's called a benefit, where you give someone, they may have a car, a house, they may get something which they're not given in hand, but it has to be taxed. And let's say we had a benefit account that would fall under gross pay, and that would look something like this. Let's put one in here. It's a benefit, and let's say this person's getting a benefit of this is a weekly paid person, so let's say $1,000 a week. Maybe not 1,000. Let's say it was for an apartment or something, or a rent or something, and it's I don't know, maybe $200 a week or something. Let's say 200. Let's put a quantity of 1. Let's come here and we put a rate of 200. Probably overrode you. Oh, sorry, I didn't choose the pay rate. Let's just choose other for the time being. I don't have a particular one set up. The job type, well, I could still go to wages cooks, but probably with some other type of job type in this case. and let's say $200 here. Okay, so this $200 is a benefit. Now over to the right of the gross pay screen, there is a benefit account which can be assigned. It's optional. Some customers will set this up and others will not. Now the difference with a benefit is that it is not paid out in terms of money. You have use of that benefit, whether it's like a car that's given to you or to the employee, or accommodation, or whatever the case may be. So it's not something that comes from the bank. So there would typically not be an entry for it in the same manner that there would be for cash or money that's paid out. So you have the option, if you require it, that you can assign the benefit account, and when that is done, what it would do is, in the case of let's say the $200, so we had the $1,000 before, $400 for the delivery person, $600 for the cook, and $200 for the benefit which the cook is also getting. Now that $200 is not paid out in cash, so it does not come from the bank account. The bank account will still receive the $1,000, so there'll be a credit to the bank of $1,000. This account will be credited with the total of the $200, whichever account you specify here, which is the benefits account. So what would happen in a case like that, where the benefit account is specified, is $1,000 is credited to the bank, $200 is credited to the benefit account, and then you have debits. In this case, there would be the $400 going to wages of delivery, which was the previous person, Carol Beavy, and in this case for Carrie Bryan, this says wages cooks. So this would go to wages cooks in this case. More realistically, this could probably be a rent account or a benefit account, but whichever account is specified here, I don't know if we call it a bonus. We could call it, let's say it was a rent. Let's go to to make it more realistic, let's go to records, accounts, and if there was to be let's say staff accommodation, all right, so the company's paying staff accommodation for this particular cook. We have an account for it. We would also need to have a job type for it. Staff accommodation. And there we go. And we add that. Then you would come here and you put it to the staff accommodation account. So when this is posted, there would be a debit entry showing that the company had an expense of $200 going to staff accommodation, along with the $400 going to the delivery person and the $600 going to the cook. So credit of $1,000 to the bank, credit of $200 going to the benefits account, then a debit of $400, a debit of $600, and another debit of the $200 going to staff accommodation. And this account could be whoever it's the $200 is payable to. Right. So that's that example, which is the only other option that you would have under the gross pay for account allocation. Generally, everything goes to the account assigned or linked to the job type. Okay, now the next section for account allocation is the taxes, because you are liable to deduct taxes from your employee's pay and remit it to the government. And in some cases, and we use the term taxes to refer to both income tax and national insurance and social security and so on. In some cases, especially like in social security and national insurance, the company has to pay a portion of that money which is remitted to the government. So the employee pays a portion, the employer pays a portion. So let's go to the tax assistant screen or the taxes screen, either one. They're very similar. This is the tax assistant, and there's a taxes screen, which is similar as well. Same type of, let's have a look at the first one here, the NIS. And if I chose a country, let's say we went with Dominica and we chose Social Security and we chose monthly, there is on this screen 3 options here for employee payable, employer payable, and employer expense, and this is repeated over here. So the employee payable account and the employer payable account, these would normally be the payable account for NIS, or in the case of, let's say it was income tax, it would be for, let's see if we have one here for Barbados. We may have a recording there already. Income tax. Right, good. So in the case of the PAYE, it's the PAYE payable. Okay? These 2 accounts here. In the case of national insurance, is these 2 accounts, NIS payable. In the case of national insurance, the employer has to pay a portion, and that would typically go to the NIS expense account. For PAYE, which does not have an employer portion, you still assign the account. Nothing will go to it, but for the purpose of filling out the record in the database, you must assign it, even though nothing will ever go to it. So that is how it works for the taxes. Now there can be a little difference, being that some companies, they will want the employer expense to be split across the various departments of the company. You may have a company with maybe sales department and a service department and an admin department, and the company may wish to have this employer expense allocated to more than one account, and not just one account. How that is handled is through departments. In the department section of PayPak, we have section here where you call up each department, and under each department, we have 2 departments in this database. There's one for Oystins and one for Wotton, and you will note the NIS expense account here. It's all the same account, NIS expense, but if we had wanted to have an NIS expense account for Oystins and an NIS expense account for Wotton, you could create the 2 accounts, and then in this screen you override the one that's here, assign the Wotton one to NIS expense Wotton, and the Oystins one to NIS expense Oystins, and you would tick this box here to lock that, and when the accounting entries are generated, it will then split the employer's portion of the NIS accordingly. The payables could still go to the default accounts. They can also be changed if you wanted to, because you can change any of the account assignments, any of the 3 account assignments in this section of the screen. Employee payable, employer payable, or employer expense. Okay. Right, so that is the taxes, the default three accounts: employee payable, employer payable, and employer expense, and the option to override them if you prefer in the department's screen. Okay, now after taxes you then have deductions. And let's go to the employees screen again, and the employees screen, let's call it Carl Beavy again. Now the deductions are done directly. They're done directly under the employee profile. So where there's a deduction, this is a guardian pension, you will have a GL account number here, and this is the account which will be credited with that deduction which comes from the employee's pay. Okay, so the person will be paid, let's say the deduction, this is in this case this is $15. Let's say she was given she's paid $400 for a week. If there was no tax or NIS, $15 is deducted. She gets $385, and the $15 goes to the guardian pension payable account. So there's a debit to the gross pay account of wages delivery of $400. There's a credit of $15 to whichever account is specified here, which is the guardian pension payable. So that'd be a credit of $15, and there would be a credit of $385 to the bank account, because that's the net pay which she would be paid. Now, for some deductions, there is also an employer's portion, an amount which the company pays. In this case, it says $7.50, and in that case, you have two accounts here. There's a payable account, which in this case is the same as the guardian, as the GL account, guardian pension payable, and there's an expense account, which is the guardian pension expense account. That would be debited with the $7.50 in this particular case. So there'll be a debit of $7.50 as an expense to the company, and the payable account will then have a total of $22.50, which is the $15 from the employee plus the $7.50 from the employer. And that is the end of the allocation, the account assignments in PayPak. That's how they're assigned. When it all comes together, once the batch is posted, you will then get the accounting summary, which looks like this. Okay, so there's the bank account. This is a payment to a credit to a benefit account. These are various expense and payable accounts for the Fortress pension. There's also some for the guardian pension. There's a medical insurance expense, national insurance expense, NIS payable, payway payable, and Sagicor medical insurance. These are credits here. And then there's debits for the wages cooks, wages delivery, and wages sales. So thank you so much for the time you spent with us for another training video in PayPak Professional 4.0, and we do look forward to your next training video. Thank you, take care, and goodbye.